All righty, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Oviedo City Council meeting. It is Monday, June 5, 2017, and we have all members of the City Council present with the exception of Mayor Pasampier, who will not be joining us tonight. At this moment, could we have Mr. Groot, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Chief White.
Good evening. Whoa. That's working great. Step back. If you'd like to join me in a word of prayer, let's do so at this time. Father God, as we step a couple days away from Memorial Day and look back on that service, we're reminded of the many sacrifices all across our nation from these Gold Star families and others, a name that none of them sought, none of them that desired or wish to be any part of. We recognize there's 15 names on this wall in Oviedo. So we pray tonight for those families, Lord, that you give them comfort and give them grace as you see them through these days. Father God, we're also aware of the passing of a long-time Oviedo resident, Nita Ralston, and pray for her family as they prepare for her final celebration of life at the end of this week. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Chief. All right, at this time, I'd like to call our meeting to order, and our first item is a ceremonial one, and this will be the Firefighter of the Year recognition. Chief, turn it over to you.
Very good. I'll just quickly read through the accolades that is bringing one of our hometown firefighters towards us tonight, and in a moment ask you to come down and help us present him as the 2017 Firefighter of the Year. It's a name that you're familiar with. He has stood in these chambers before for other recognition of certifications. We're glad tonight to recognize Firefighter Matthew Appel for his excellence in service and selection as the 2017 Firefighter of the Year. He completed his paramedic certification this past year. He's respected among his peers, his special caring attitude and treatment of patients under his care, dedication to training, and his performance on emergency fire scenes and other scenes. He's complimented quite frequently by his superior officers, always jumps in to do any station duty. He was instrumental in our new fire station with several projects there that I am forever grateful for as well. He also recently was one of the first ones to raise his hand as we were trying to summon a couple volunteers for an engine company strike team to South Florida, and he accompanied on that mission as well. And he was recently recognized as our Firefighter of the Year by the American Legion Post. So I'd like to bring him and his wife up, and if council would join me for just a moment.
Alrighty, so this is a certificate presented from Oviedo Fire Rescue for the 2017 Firefighter of the Year. It's presented to Matthew Appel for your excellence in service, having successfully been selected as the 2017 Firefighter of the Year, and it's signed by your Chief White. Give him a round, ladies and gentlemen. Get you over in the middle here. We'll get some pictures.
We'll let you pin him on that later.
Okay.
I need a step stool.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
All righty. All right, so our next item will be the approval of the minutes from our May 15th regular session and the May 22 budget work session, if I can get a motion on that.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None? Councilwoman, you good?
Good minutes.
All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're approved. Our next item is for public comment. I don't have any written requests. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the council at this time? All right, seeing none, we will close the public comment, and we will move on to our consent agenda, if I can get a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
All right, Councilman Britton with the motion and Councilman Pollack with the second. Do you have any discussion at all?
I've got a few more questions on item 8, if we pull that one, please.
Motioner and seconder agree to pull item number 8 and
That's
make
fine.
it 8A?
That's fine.
All righty, so let's call the vote on items number 4 through 7 on the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that passes. Okay, consent agenda. Let's bring up number 8A. All right, we'll make this number 8A. This is resolution number 3428-17. Mr. Cobb, can you give us a little introduction on this, please?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is a request for the council to approve a work order with CPH Inc. in the amount of $108,712 to perform an engineering evaluation of the city's percolation ponds and to determine alternatives. Of course, as you know, the percolation ponds are located in the property adjacent to the north side of City Hall. They are designed to allow treated wastewater effluent to percolate slowly into the ground, acting as a holding facility while gravity allows the treated water to percolate or seep through the soil. The city leases the property where the percolation ponds are currently located. The purpose of this work order is to provide a preliminary engineering study on how we can relocate these ponds. Preferably, one of the ideas is to relocate them to the golf course. It'll also take a look at other alternatives that would involve either the wastewater treatment plant or our relationship with the Iron Bridge facility, and it would give us an idea of what would be required to relocate those ponds to other areas. We're not only looking at the purpose of ponds for reuse, but also looking at the purpose, what they call reject water, and then also looking at another type of water that is not good for public use as well. The report would be provided to the city by November of this year. We have in the audience with us tonight Mr. Terry Zaki, who is an engineer with CPH and can answer any questions, detailed questions about the report. The report does involve an engineering study, it involves a drainage study, and it also involves a geotechnical study. It is recommended that the council adopt resolution number 3428-17.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Mr. Zaki, would you like to enlighten us on this item? Just name and address for the record.
Okay.
You've been there many times.
Terry Zodke. My home address is 2065 Wiggly Farms Road in Deltona, Florida. My office address is 1117 East Robinson Street in Orlando. This study came about because it's the next step. We've already covered some of these items in the master plan and the appendix to the master plan, but now we're to the point where we would actually be doing more detailed studies and analysis to say, yes, we can put these here, or no, we can't. and what are those ramifications, and estimate some of the costs at this point.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Zaki?
I do, and thank you so much for, prior to the meeting, answering
Sure.
most of them.
Sure.
The one that I'm kind of concerned about, and I think everybody on council would want to know, is should we increase the scope of this to include where the existing pipes are? Because that is a very significant factor, I would think, that would impact the ultimate cost of where we build these replacement ponds.
I guess I'm not clear as to your intent there. If you could enlighten me. We know, the city's got distribution maps of all their piping and so forth.
That is an excluded service, and it's listed specifically as an additional service, and it seems to me that it ought to be part of it.
Okay. What we excluded it for was the fact that we weren't going to go ahead and do we've previously done K-pipe analysis on your reclaimed water system, and it was excluded just because we didn't need to do it.
So it's already done, so you will take that into account when
Correct.
figuring out where the water can move.
And how we
to
can
these
get it there.
pipes.
We'll have to add some pipes to get to those ponds in those locations, but we don't need to reanalyze it. We've already got the KY pipe model. It's Kentucky pipe method. It's a system that takes the whole distribution system and then analyzes it through what's called the Newton-Raphson method of pipe analysis.
Now, when it comes to pipe sharing, can reject water share pipes with reclaimed water?
No, it cannot. But we have a dedicated line already that goes to a 5 MGD pond by the golf course. And we would reuse.
That's a reject pond, the 5
That
million?
pond can be turned into a reject pond. It's currently a,
If it were a reject pond, would it then have to be fenced off from the golf course?
it already is fenced off, I believe. I believe it is.
Is this the one that we were looking at in the area?
Yeah, yeah.
That is
I've-
not currently fenced up. I think you just drive right by and there it is. Are we talking about the one that's on the north side or the south side of Akana?
It would be across from the golf course, it'd be in the west side of Lockwood Boulevard, just north of,
It's fenced off.
It's fenced off?
it's fenced off.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a old pumping shed that we had many previous discussions
Yeah.
at this council before about rebuilding it.
It's now a new pumping shed,
Yeah, now it's a new one.
rebuilt.
So, yeah, that's fenced off. That line, we could, by maneuvering things around, we could use that same line to go to a reject-type system if we wanted to go that route with reject.
Okay. Thank you.
So, and then we have all sorts of other distribution pipes in the area that, they're not duplicates, but they run by everything, so.
So that is not actually an exclusion. You would take that into account in your analysis?
That is correct.
Okay.
We just excluded it that we didn't need to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman? Anything? Councilman? Good? All right, thank you, Terry.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
All righty. All the questions have been vetted. Just need a motion on 3428-17.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 3428-17.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other questions? No?
Well, if I could just point out to anybody who hasn't read through the entire agenda, you look at this price tag, it's really, really high, but they've broken it out by hour and the different elements of this project. It's extremely detailed what they're going to be doing. So at first I had sticker shock, but after quite a lot of discussions, and thank you very much, Mr. Zotsky and Alexis Stewart, for working through why the number is so high.
Well, I would just say that, that those perk ponds behind and where the water would go, if the golf course, can handle that water, this is the first step. And having CPH there on a continuing resolution where we have a choice of different, consultants to use, they have the most experience with it. So I think we really need to get this done. This way we know, sometimes, we think we're going to store water out there, but until they do this and bring us back all the unknowns, we're not really sure. So I think it's a good move. Okay. Can we call the vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. righty, so public hearings, we have none. First reading of ordinance, let's see. Let me get over here, catch up here. All right, we have ordinance number 1652, fiscal matters relating to the city manager. Let's see here. Mr. Groot, could you read this by title only, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Oviedo, Florida relating to city funds, fiscal matters, and powers and duties of the city manager, repealing sections 54-234 and 54-262 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oviedo, Florida, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for implementing administrative actions, providing for a savings provision, providing for codification, providing for the correction of scrivener's errors, and providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date. And that's the ordinance by title, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Groot, appreciate that. Mr. Cobb, can you give us a little background?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is a request for the City Council to amend Chapter 54 of the Code of Ordinances, which deals with utilities, to, as Mr. Groot said, repeal Sections 54-234 and 54-236, and then to add new language that would be added to the chapter regarding the use of funds. 54-234 and 54-262 provide language that deal with the 234 deals with the stormwater fund, and then 262 deals with the what it says irrigation fund, but it's really the reuse fund. And they have provisions within them that are inconsistent with the other parts of the chapter. And so, and it's particularly with with the use of funds. And so this ordinance repeals those two sections and then adds a new section that would provide consistent language across all parts of the utility chapter. And basically those changes are to direct the city manager and the finance director to use accepted accounting principles with dealing with the funds that go with the city's utility system. Tonight, you're asked to read the ordinance by title only, which you've done, and to schedule a public hearing for Monday, June 19, 2017.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Council, if you do have any questions on this, I would just say hold them until the 19th. Mr. Mayor will be back. The public hearing will be there with just first reading. So if you have any questions between now and the 19th, I would just say to get with Mr. Cobb. But at this time, let me entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing for June 19th, 2017, approximately 6:30 p.m. here at City Hall, 400 Alexandria Boulevard, Oviedo, Florida, 32765. Just need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, let's call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, let's catch up here. All right, we're on to resolutions. This is resolution number 3413-17, site development order number 475-17. Mr. Cobb, can you give us a little background on this, please?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is a request for the City Council to amend the preliminary subdivision plan for the Southern Oaks subdivision. This subdivision was originally approved by the City Council with the adoption of resolution number 2271-13. It was governed under site development order number 475-17. This subdivision is located on both the north and south side of State Route 434, basically, where the curve is. Part of it's on the north side and part of it's on the south side. This amendment pertains to the north side, and the purpose of this amendment is to change the lots that are designated for the model home sale. In the original approval of it, it was lots 41, 42, and 43 were designated for the model home sale. This request is to designate lots 22, 30, 34, and 35 as the model home center lots within the northern part of the subdivision, what we call Phase 2. The model home, the house, model home center would be located on lot 22, and then there would also be model homes on the other lots, as well as the parking lot would be located on lot 30. It's recommended that the City Council adopt resolution number 3413-17.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Is the applicant present?
We are.
Mr. Brian,
How are you?
sir?
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you back in here again.
Thank you very much. Brian Dalrymple, Taylor Morrison of Florida, Inc., 2700 Lake Lucian Drive, Maitland, Florida, Suite 370, 32751. It's great to be back in front of the great council of the City of Oviedo. Welcome to Councilman Pollock and Councilwoman Slating. Nice to see you, Megan.
Finally meet you.
Huh?
It's
Right.
nice to finally meet you in person.
Right, for sure. And Councilmember Brenton, nice to see you, sir. Certainly, it's great to be back and be as healthy as I am today. But like all home builders, they change their mind often, and in this particular case, no different. Taylor Morrison had originally had some model lots dedicated for models and parking, and in today's climate, the phase across the street sold out in normal Oviedo blistering pace. So we wanted to make some changes to the piece on the north side. So I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Anybody have any questions for Brian? No? All right, I think we're good, Brian. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, council, I need a motion on Resolution 3413-17.
I move we adopt Resolution 3413-17.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilwoman, you have anything?
It sounds like they're just moving where the model home is, and at the end of the day, it's going to be exactly what was planned.
Thank you so much, Councilman.
I just had a quick question. Is there a way to avoid this in the future to allow for, them to choose the lots, or do we have to designate the lots?
This has been a long standing issue here in the city. Our former land development code actually required a special exception use order to be issued to designate the model home center. Working with Mr. Group during one of our land development code rewrites, we gave developers the opportunity to designate the model homes during the subdivision process. And then if you had a situation where they came up and they wanted to do something different, then they could go through the special exception process. The last round of the land development code rewrites, when we looked at the process again, we just felt like it was better to address it on the subdivision level. Sometimes what happens is the developer brings it in under the subdivision. The builder comes in and says, well, actually, I would prefer to use these lots. And the unfortunate part of it, even though it's not it's a minor adjustment to the subdivision, the council is the approving body. And so since council is the approving body, council must approve the amendment to rearrange the lots. The basic tenet behind it was that you're introducing a commercial use within a residential subdivision, because that's what the model center is. It's the sales office, even though it's temporary. And so we felt like it would be better to try to handle it through the subdivision process rather than go through the special exception process, which tended to it produced more negative effects than it did positive, quite honestly. We felt it was better while we're looking at the overall subdivision to be able to designate, okay, here's where the model lots are going to be. Trying to do something easier, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. We can look around and see if there's some way to do it. Maybe there's a way that we can do something that's, say a de minimis impact.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Something like that.
I just didn't know if there was a way to just designate, a certain number of lots for that and let the developer choose which lots they wanted for their model homes. And
right.
They're model homes. They're going to be homes eventually.
They'll be homes eventually. That's it. I think the biggest one was the home where the sales offices are.
And just trying to avoid the hassle of having to come back to move.
We can definitely take a look at, look around and see what others are doing to see if there's some simpler way to make the change. I think it's good to have the developer designate the lots with the subdivision so you know where they are.
Right.
But if the builder comes in and says, well, I think they'd be better served over here, maybe we can find an easier way to do that. So we can look for it.
You all good? Councilman, got anything?
Good. Good.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilwoman, seconded by Councilman Pollock. So let's call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? passes unanimously. Thank you, Brian. Good to see you again, sir. All righty, so we're on to discussion items. We have none. City Manager's Report. Mr. Cobb, you're up.
I have no report, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
It's making it easy on me tonight. It's not often I get to do this. You know, save it all when he gets back. Let him work. You know, Mr. Groot, you got anything for us, sir?
Can't make it any harder on you, nothing this evening.
All righty, so on to communication and reports. Councilman Pollak, you're up, sir.
All right, I got just a couple hours worth of stuff.
Knock yourself out.
We all attended the Women's Club Scholarship Award Ceremony. That was a great event. It's amazing to just see those students and what they've accomplished at that age. And then we had the Memorial Day event. That was well done, Chief. That was a great event. And then the cross tribute at Most Precious Blood. That was another wonderful event for Memorial Day. Drew, the fifth grade dance was awesome. It went off. My daughter had a blast, and it was well organized, and the parents were able to pick the kids up, easily and drop them off as well. So it was a great job, and I love the venue. That's all I have.
You all set? All right, so next up is myself. The only thing I just wanted to update the council on is Mr. Cobb and I have been working since I was appointed to this Friends of Lake Jessup. As you know, it stood dormant for many years. Nobody seems to want to take the lead in cleaning up Lake Jessup, so this body gave the authorization for Brian to put some letters together. So he has a bunch of letters that are going to every congressman and woman in the state of Florida, the 2 senators, the Army Corps of Engineers, Winter Springs, Seminole County, and we're going to try to get everybody on board here. Mr. King, who was running this, is very excited. He said to me today, for the first time, he feels like there might be some hope, but there's just so many people involved in this. But the lake is just not good. It's not well. So if it doesn't get fixed, it won't be from lack of trying, and I'm glad we're, starting it off. So pretty soon, city manager's putting some final touches on these letters. You'll all sign them if you agree. Brian, did you share the drafts with everybody?
I have not, no.
All right, so
Been working with
if you could do that when you finish them, just share the drafts. So hopefully one day we'll get everybody on board and that lake will be sparkling. And Megan, you're appointed to go take the ride if they need anybody, because I know that's your thing. It's my board, but you're good at that type of stuff. So,
Mr. Deputy Mayor, one of the things that you mentioned today, there's 27 members of Congress that represent the state of Florida, 2 senators, and then we have the 4 state representatives. And we're also sending letters out to Seminole County as well as City of Winter Springs to ask for their help. And we have a special letter to the commander and district engineer of the Jacksonville district of the Corps of Engineers. If I asked Ms. Babor today to contact you to see if we could get an electronic signature, I'd hate for you to have to sit and sign 50 different letters. So I would think it would be easier to, if you could give us your electronic signature, then we can just apply them to the signature page of the letters. And I think it's primarily Councilwoman Slaget and Councilmember Pollak are the ones you need. Is that the ones?
I'd be glad to sign them in person in a different color ink so everybody knows it's real, and I really, truly want them to listen to it. I don't know if that makes a difference, but when I get a real signature, I pay more attention.
it's up to you.
I can make the packet for you. I mean,
If she wants to sign 27 of them,
okay.
in different colored ink, I knew that was coming. No, that's fine.
Electronics fine for me.
But
That's
just
fine.
keep your fingers crossed. We all drive over that, and you ride over it, and it looks pretty as you're driving it, but you don't realize how bad it really is. So we are at least, we lead in Oviedo, and hopefully everybody else will come on board. I'm not sure how over the years that the ball just got dropped. It's such an impaired body of water, and when since I took this on and talking to Mr. King and doing some research, and Brian, you've done a great job, updating us to what you found. I mean, that lake's in sad condition, so let's keep our fingers crossed and hope it gets cleaned up. That's all I had this evening. Councilwoman, you're up.
This last Tuesday, I got a chance to go to my very first ION meeting. Councilmember Britt was there as well. About 20 people came out, maybe a little bit more, and a very enthusiastic group trying to come up with some synergy, exciting stuff going on in the neighborhoods off of Reed Road. This Saturday, if you don't have anything going on between 9 and 1, we are picking up trash. A lot of you know that is my latest hobby, is picking up trash on the side of the road, and especially at the edge of bodies of water. There is no water at the edge of anywhere in Reed Road that's standing right now, so your feet will not get wet. You will not accidentally step on glass. It is very safe, very fun. It's a really good group of people, so if you can come out even for an hour or two. How many dumpsters were going to be out there? Do you remember? I think it's like 8.
County's going to have a couple, the city's going to have a couple, and I think there's going to be one for tires.
Tires. There's going to be a tire disposal for people in that neighborhood. People can get rid of refrigerators. If you know anybody who's over in that area, the goal is just clean it up, because sometimes people will have all this junk and they can't physically move it, even if they can get it outside of the house. So we're going to try to help them get it. They're working right now to get it outside of the house, and we're going to get it passed. But if somebody needs help inside the house, my understanding is that the sheriff's department and maybe some Oviedo police officers may be milling about too, and it's just sort of an all call to the neighborhood. I know First United Methodist Church of Oviedo is planning to come out and help, and a couple other groups as well. So I'm looking forward to that on Saturday. This Wednesday, I'll be filling in for Councilmember Britton at Calno. And appreciate Mr. Boulware and Mr. Cobb getting back with me on the noise at the park. Sounds like there's been general consensus from the staff level that 10 p.m. is when concerts at Oviedo on the park are going to die down. We've got a noise ordinance that says 11 o'clock is really it, so maybe it's an aspirational goal of 10 and then sneaks past a little bit. But if you know anybody who lives in that sound cone, it is a very audible place, and Oviedo on the Park is cool. It's fun to have concerts, but please let everybody know 10 o'clock you can start to plan on going to bed. And last thing, golf cart ordinance. We've talked a little bit about that, I think, twice. And I know the mayor's not here, but between the four of us, if you guys are okay, adding that as a just discussion item so we can start heading towards getting this to be official. We still own a golf course. The carts still go in the road. We need a policy on it, so we're not breaking. I think we might be breaking state law not to have some kind of policy in place.
Mr. Cobb, what were we looking at? Weren't you guys researching golf? Chief, you are. Can you give us an update where you're at?
According to state statute, in order to golf carts to be on the road, they need the city or the county needs to designate it. Right now, we don't have that designation. I'm working with one of our continuing contract engineering firms to get a manual that they have. I talked to the gentleman who was getting it from me at the end of last week. He has it. It's just a matter of getting it to me. Once we have that, we'll review that and then go from there.
So it sounds like it's kind of in the works already.
It is.
Okay, so if I'm a little patient.
Correct.
All right, I can do that.
Chief, you'll let us know if it's going to fly or not after you. These are the people that are going to tell you whether it's going to work or not.
Two meetings, and then I'll start asking again.
Well, as soon as he gets in the manual, we'll review it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Good.
And that's all I've got for today.
That's all you got? Councilman, you're up, sir.
Okay, a couple items. One, thank you, Megan, for going to Calno. I'm not going to go into that, but I appreciate you doing that. And the reason is because I'm going to be out of town, so I'll miss the next meeting. And I'll see you when I get back. The only other thing I have is the barbecue blowout. Was a great event. Good music, Drew. I guess you didn't have it. It was the chamber, but good music, good food. The steak was great. So another event for our city to brag about. And I think that's all I have.
So you'll be missing the next one, the June 19th. How about the budget work session? the
That's not till
21st.
July, is it?
We have the 19th and the 21st. You're going to miss both of them?
June? Yeah.
Okay.
But I can maybe dial in if you let
And
me.
you'll be back by the, and then we have no meeting the 3rd, so you'll be
Yeah.
back the 17th.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess I want to bring up one more thing, and Brian, we've already talked about this, and Drew, about the golf course. I had witnessed a situation that I considered maybe a safety issue on the soccer golf going on at the golf course at the same time as the golfers, and it seems to me like it was a setup for a situation where someone could get hit by a ball, and so, Drew, I think you and Brian are working on a set of rules of engagement, and on how to make it safe to be out there, either one or the other, or whatever. But it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of understanding going on when I was out there as to what a golfer should do and what a soccer player should do. And I've received quite a few comments about, negative comments about that situation, so I think we need to address it. I'm not going to do a request of resolution, but I'm not going to wait a long time either for it. So you guys can work on it.
So Drew, you'll let us know what you think we should do to proceed there. Well, the golf course too. You know, if we got an email about the golf course each week, Down to Earth send us an update, and that course is starting to come back to life. You know, it's kind of like we want Lake Jessup to do. You know, you put a little TLC in it, and I hear more people are playing it now, and they're doing a great job. So the investment's paying off early. So let's hope we get some more rounds.
Steve, I missed one thing, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this goes back to the ION meeting, and Alexis, could you do me a favor and give Ben Williams some kudos, because he did an excellent job organizing that, and he's doing a great job heading that effort up. So, appreciate it.
He's great at managing everybody talking. Wasn't that cool? Like, there were like 7 people talking all at the same time, which is how I'd love to see this work, but it can't. But it's nice to go to ION, where everybody just goes at it, and in a good way.
I'm a little more flexible. I think we had a
Yeah,
good.
you
I think we had a good meeting tonight. It's odd not having the mayor here. I can tell you that once in a blue moon I get to do this. He can have it because I like to concentrate on what I'm doing. So he does it very well. So, Mr. Mayor, he's missed for this evening. So, but he's enjoying his vacation, I'm sure, much needed one. So, does anybody else have anything else? As the mayor always says, for the good of the order.
Just have one more question. Chief White, what's the status with the 4th of July fireworks at the mall? Are they still going to happen? Okay.
Keep raining like this, we'll be in good shape. You know, had some good rain.
I've got one more follow-up question, too. On the wrapping up at 10 p.m., do we need to have a resolution for that? I didn't think about it until Mr. Britton said that.
No.
Or like, we all just agree we're going to wrap at
We
10?
can
Okay.
take
Good. All right. Future meeting dates.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I could, just one last thing for the
Yes,
good of the
sir.
order. This Friday is the 3rd annual golf tournament in the Oviedo Veterans Tribute. It'll be held at Twin Rivers Golf Club, sponsored by Outback Steakhouse. This one is a special one in that it is in the memory of Mark Stockwell, who was the originator of the golf tournament to create a fundraiser for the Veterans Tribute. Mr. Stockwell cared deeply about our veterans and as well as the Veterans Tribute. And so I just wanted to let you know that this it will be this Friday, and they'll be teeing off at noon. So.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. All right, future meeting dates. We have Monday, June 19th at 6:30 p.m. will be the regular session. And then make a note, Wednesday, June 21st, 6 p.m., that's a budget work session. Monday, July 3rd, there will be no meeting, 4th of July. Get a day off for that. Then we have Monday, July 17th, is 5:30 p.m. is a CRA governing board meeting. Monday, July 17th at 6:30 is a regular session. And Monday, July 24th at 6 p.m. will be a special meeting. So if nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.